video permanent on here or not. I might just erase it or just leave it on live videos. But anyways, FA Checky here, Meta Messiah, just going live just because. The flag right now on the 90 days for Bitcoin is interesting. It's kind of like, I think it looks like a descending wedge and a repeat pattern. So I think it's just going to trade in this channel until, and I think it's going to go up. I think the chances are higher then it's going to pop up to a new all-time high than it is to make a huge downside move again. And I'm talking like 20%. I see it more likely to start its next climb to another 20% from about where it's at right now, versus it take a 20% dive. So Bitcoin really is in an interesting trading range right now, in that it's definitely holding above 60. I don't know if it just briefly went under for a split second, but definitely it's held above 60 and is looking very resilient as far as accumulation right now is kind of what I'm seeing. Some profit takers, just liquidations probably, and it may just be people cashing out or market movers trying to keep it in a range for China. Hong Kong is just around the corner here as far as April 30th, April 30th, 4:30. The Chinese in Hong Kong, that's their province. That's China's province. And this is a big deal. This is a very big deal because China is very protective of the yuan, their money, and their centralized economy. So they have some elements of capitalism, but it's all controlled by the Communist Party. That's the mechanism for all the decision making in China. With Xi at the top right now, and allowing Hong Kong to do the Bitcoin ETF and I think Ethereum ETF. Hong Kong, it could be international, actually overseas, where we see the first Ethereum ETF. That's a big deal. But what's really remarkable about Hong Kong is a complete reversal of Chinese policy on Bitcoin and crypto. This is an opening, and it's kind of like they're going to test it out. You know, this is, if it goes well enough, they'll let more and more from the mainland invest, and eventually their whole population, if you have any money, will be able to buy through Hong Kong. That's a lot. That's a huge economy to be coming into crypto. And Japan, apparently, in the other parts of the Asian market, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, a lot of the rich Asian nations, now China being among them, and India, which is technically part of Asia, and Russia is sort of in Asia as well. It's a Eurasian country. They're going to see a huge injection of foreign capital that wasn't there, because Bitcoin is now internationally looked at as it's a rare resource. It's a asset that equates to some power because it will trump currencies and fiat if something were to happen with central banking. And if fiat takes a big dive because we have a run on the banks, which could happen, there could be a run on the banks. We had some banks fail, and the rates are not coming down. They're rates at a very, very hard spot for a lot of banks. Like the pressure right now on the banks is tremendous. They're not lending as much money, and part of that is because higher rates mean people don't borrow as much, but also they become more stringent. Every loan has to be at these higher rates, and so they're writing less business, but they're also taking less risk. Just cooking up some dinner while I talk. But one of the interesting things right now, as far as Bitcoin is concerned, after the halving, is the gradual diminishing supply. And as far as diminishing returns, the statistics are that it's going to do less than it did last time because it's historical. But there's also this anomaly in math that takes place when you use different game theories in a lot of ways in economics, game theories, and this is predicting markets. And the thing with it's kind of hard to explain because this is not necessarily my area of expertise. I studied some, being in law school, political science, but in my basic understanding of it, that's the best I can say. But moving on, just as far as international influence, that is a variable that was not there before in 2021, 2020. COVID was the variable. COVID is over. Yeah, there'll be a little mini pandemics. Nothing serious looks like it's coming down right now. But what different politics will there be never seen before is a lot of it's in Russia. A lot of them, that politics is Russia losing the war in Ukraine, what that means for Vladimir Putin. But the Russian people and the economy need something to hedge back against the ruble. So they're going to allow a lot of Russians now to get back into crypto. Okay, so Bitcoin is this rare resource. All the world wants it. Everybody's chasing after it like gold. But if you are aware of how many gold reserves there are in Africa, South America, North America, and Russia, there's so much gold that has not been dug from the ground. Not that long ago in Africa, I think it was in, I don't know if it was Cameroon or the Congo, they uncovered in an African nation recently 1.7 trillion or something like that, over $1 trillion in gold reserves sitting in the ground. Just really rich in gold ore, in actual nuggets and things like that. Africa's always been a huge mining area for gold, but they have a lot of it, and they didn't know until recently how much they've actually had, because it's never really been studied until with modern equipment, and even in Africa alone, they could decouple it. If they decouple gold, it's going to plummet. There's so much mining that if they just let them do it and dig it from the ground and let them put them on the market, it would tank the value of gold a lot. This kind of like World War III narrative. If World War III happens, you won't worry about crypto. You'll be vaporized by either a nuclear explosion or die by the radiation. There will be no internet infrastructure left. Nobody will live. Okay, World War III. I studied nuclear politics as part of my. I was a Cold War scholar in college, and studied politics, political science. Cold War was my concentration. Actually, Russian studies as well, history. Okay, and mutually assured destruction. Let me just put it this way: don't worry about owning crypto or gold. It'll be, if anybody was alive, the currency would be food, because people will be starving to death from nuclear winter. There'd be no way to grow it, even underground. The deep penetration of radiation from that many bombs going off, the water, it'd be next to impossible to find any water that was not contaminated by radiation. And even if you had storages of water, that water's eventually going to run out. You'd have to have a way of recycling water, like in the movie Dune. Okay, so Bitcoin would not be a consideration. Neither would gold. Bullets and frickin' food would be currency post-apocalypse. But putting that aside, the fail-safes in place for those things, I think, are rather strong. The whole war in Ukraine is just a show of force by Russia, but also Vladimir Putin needed something like that because of, the oligarchs are getting, they're getting impatient with him, and I think this is the final straw with them, especially if he loses. But anyways, the instability of a major, as far as the powers, the five powers sit on the United Nations, China, France, Great Britain, United States, Russia, the big five, okay, Security Council. These big nation movements, big historical national movements in economic, turmoils, of various kinds emerging will destabilize currencies in many, many countries. Many countries are going to see fiat, their currencies go through a lot of fluctuations, especially if the ruble crashes. That more hurt the Indian economy because India does a lot of trading with Russia. But India is actually a bigger economy. Russia's already in a recession because of the war. They're already in a deep recession because of sanctions. China's in a recession right now. A few European countries, I think England might be in a technical recessionary recovery. They're finally pulling out of theirs, but they were kind of in a recession too. It's been a number of isolated recessions worldwide. The United States was one of the most powerful ones that pulled out of COVID. We pulled out of COVID with flying colors. That's why the dollar is very high right now. The value of the dollar is very good. For there to be a black swan event on a dollar would usually be war, possibly. But World War II, if there's anything we learned, if an economy survives in war for the the United States economy thrives on war. It's not going to help it. It'll boost the dollar. A bigger thing that could happen is just national debt and China becoming aggressive in its policies in the United States. They're going to start calling some of those notes and say the United States needs to start paying up. Our economy is struggling. We need loan repayment to infuse in our economy. And they could become more aggressive on that by accelerating some of that debt and having it paid because we owe quite a bit to China. The problem there is we do so much business with China, we could become retaliatory in terms of no more capital expansions in China. We can close down some businesses. They wouldn't like that. Recently getting aggressive on TikTok really angered a lot of Chinese business people. It's owned internationally. It's got shareholders all over the planet. A lot of them here in the United States own TikTok. The ban on TikTok will never happen. It'd be like trying to ban YouTube. It'll never, ever, ever happen. The courts won't allow it. So people all worried, oh, what about, what about, Biden and signs it into law. Biden has all this power. He can extend it. Yeah, he probably would too, if there's a deal in sight. The deal isn't the deal isn't even really an issue because all they're going to do is divest in the form of corporate incorporation in the United States, so it's paying taxes in the United States. And then it will just be run like an American corporation. It'll be a subsidiary of TikTok to operate here. And they'll allow the censors, allow the FCC and all them to be able to monitor it some more. But it's going to be hard too because they can't mess with it. It's an internal algorithm and it's a free speech thing. So really all they kind of doing is like, in theory, safeguarding information when it comes to Chinese servers. I mean, right now, there's already safeguards in place, and you're allowed to sell your private information to whoever you want. You sell it to YouTube, you sell it to Facebook, you sell it to Snapchat, you sell it to every social media company you ever use. You are signing an end user agreement that you are signing away your data to a third party. That's why Web3 is huge. Web3 is huge because it's about allowing people to own their data again due to private internet. One of the biggest aspects of Web3 is going to be private internet. Sorry, I'm making some supper, just talking live. Some of the other big things I've been talking about is the layer 2s. I think Shibarium is going to be the late runner. Unfortunately, it's going to take a while for Shibarium to really get the big push, but I think Base is going to be the first big one to make a big leg bull run. movement, narrative, media talking about it. A lot of people are already talking about base big time. Shibarium's getting some attention, but it's kind of like their own media. A lot of it's just, you know, it's all within its ecosystem, and it's getting out on X, and not a ton. There's some coverage. There is some coverage. It's just Shib is not the in thing anymore. So for something to change on Shibarium would be like a meme coin project, probably hitting in the $1 billion range. I like DAM token. I think DAM, as far as a deflationary token, it's a meme coin. It also burns bone in every trade. Is a huge element to pause swap. There's pause swap. DAM, DAMN, DAM. It's a good token for Shibarium. You know, they recently released Pika that looks interesting. But you know, Shibarium is gonna be big. It's gonna emerge. We're gonna see some Shibarium action. I think probably August, September, October. Still gonna be a slow summer for it. We might see some movement depending on Bitcoin pumping big. But Shibarium, I think last quarter of this year, that's when we're gonna start hearing more about it. It is important. It's a big layer 2 for Ethereum. It's really helping lower gas, and going to help with the EIP 4844 considerations. Base chain, though, if I were to pick one favorite token, I do like Andy a lot because it's cool. As far as like the Pepe of base, I like Andy. I think still Brit, who is like Brett's queen, or you know, his hot mama, his whatever, his girlfriend, his woman. Brit is looking funny, and people like the narrative, and Brett's already huge. Brett will hit $1 billion as Brett exceeds the 2, 3, who knows how many billions it goes up. We could see Brit really get in, you know, several hundred million. Would not surprise me if it hits 500, 700 million. And be another big coin. A lot of these in the big zenith, the big peak of the bull run, you will see some ridiculous market caps that won't hold long. It might go another all-time high, you know, or try to test the all-time high. But when they do these high peaks, that's when you want to sell them. If you could time that sell there. It depends on, you know, a lot of different factors. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just for entertainment. But there are some people who like the DCA sell as it's going up, and I agree with that. Just as it goes down, it makes the most sense. When you don't do it, let's just say you see it spike and you don't do it, you're taking a hold strategy. And if you're going to say, no, I think I'm going to yield more profit if I just do a longer hold, wait for a new all-time high, and take it'd be like, I'll take when it hits all. Also, I'm not going to do multiple sells. I'm going to just do one big sell when it actually hits the big peak. It's a hold strategy. You always should take profits, but it's always good to have a moon bag, as they say. Always hold on to something. So a lot of these meme token projects they're cool. They are taking center stage, but utility tokens haven't had their time. Altcoins and utility have not had their time yet. They've made some gains. A lot of them are pulled back significantly, consolidated a lot. The ERC20 and Ethereum tokens are really struggling right now. And that's because a lot of the money's moving to layer 2s. Solana's taking a lot of it, Base, maybe Shibarium a little bit. Shibarium not so much, but definitely Solana and Base are competing. A Polygon, I'm not sure how much there, maybe a little bit as well. But that's what ETH wants, because ETH does not want to be expensive to make a transaction. It wants to be very fast, 100,000 transactions per second, you know, less than a penny type cost to trade. and move Ethereum, trade ERC20s. That's EIP 4844. To all my Okonami friends out there, hello. I hope you're all doing well. I love seeing what I'm seeing. I'm not gonna make a video on Okonami or Souk and all that until there's major news. But there is building. I will mention that I see the community is building, adding a V3, another liquidity pool on Uniswap. The community is doing great. They're, I'm just gonna say this. Um, Sometimes you just need a break. Okonami is an intense project, and sometimes it's just too much. I still support it very much, though. It's hard to stay focused on it and concentrated on it because it's one of the weirdest freaking token projects I've ever seen. I have lots of videos on that if you want to watch. Well, thanks for supporting the channel. I hope you are supporting the channel and subscribing. Please continue to do so. Hit the alerts if you want to see when I come live. Probably go live a lot during the bull run because I'm so ADHD right now. It's hard to make videos and edit them and all that. It's just easier to go live and post. But I'll go live some more here as much as I can. You know, if you can just comment, let me know any content you want to see. I'd be happy to do anything that you guys, if it looks like it's worth talking about. I'll say that. If it doesn't look worth it, I won't make a video on it. I've made some videos on some stupid things. I've deleted them. And it's just because I got caught up in the hype, and it's very easy to get caught up in the hype. I keep having to remind myself, don't get caught up in the hype. That's where you make bad decisions sometimes. You have to take your emotions out of it and think rationally all the way through. Follow your strategies. Be disciplined. Be disciplined. Follow your strategies. Anyway, along the same lines, if you can just share the channel, tell people about it, get people disciplined and watching more content, I appreciate it. I'm going to cover a lot of different things and mention a lot of good token projects out there, so it's worth watching. I thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys